This is Lando. You're at Landow Performance. You're watching Powerhouse. Come inside and check out our home. The facility that you're in today, the facility that you're going to capture today, 20 years of hard work, a lot of failures along the way, but that's the way we learn, is from our failures or our mistakes. You'll notice off the right-hand side we have a weight room that has a nice flow to it. Depending on where you're at in the facility, we have 40 yards by 15 to 25 yards. And this is paramount because movement is our priority, whether the activation, mobility, stability circuits or series that we put people through in our warm-ups, or purely the teaching of the mechanics that we do. You have to teach and part whole qualities. And to me, movement is like language. We have to be taught how to move in chunks to then apply it. I never once tell my athletes when or how they should do a movement quality. I try to pepper them with as many coordinative tasks as possible and allow them to figure it out. Our cardio pieces are our energy system development pieces. We don't have many, but what we have is quality. We have 2 of the Kaiser bikes, a SpeedFit self-propelled treadmill. We have the Curve self-propelled treadmill. We also have the Spark piece. I would consider this an elliptical that is more athletically driven. The punch drive action of the Spark is very similar to the acceleration punch drive action. I can really get an idea of the power output that the athletes are generating during a metabolic session with our MMA fighters, but then I can also get a good readout of what their average power output is. This is for all of our Olympic style exercises. We have space for about 3 different areas for athletes to lift and drop when they need to. 2 power lift racks on the outside. The Sornax racks are pretty cool. There's a lot of variations that we can do out of these. We have these jammer arms that allows to do, just different variations of explosive movements, hip extension, explosive movements. If you remember the old ground-based jammers that Hammer Strength put out, this allows us to do a lot of those explosive triple extension, hip extension based exercises. But what I really like is the rotary based exercises that we can do, one for our fighters or any of our rotary-based athletes. And we can plate load this, we can elastomer load this, we can do so many different ways of loading this to change the resistance qualities, or really what the goal is for that day. Now as we come back through here, you'll see jerseys that we have of the athletes. Missy Franklin, Brandon Stokely, one of the best slot receivers of all time. Julius Thomas is a nice tight end for the Jacksonville Jaguars now. Brian Dawkins, these are all guys that have worked out with me. And we have Derek Wolf, who's one heck of a D-tackle for the Denver Broncos currently. We have a lot of MMA, football, a few hockey in here as well, a few baseball players. We work with all sports. My very first athletes that I worked with that were of high caliber, Bill Romanowski, who was a linebacker for the Denver Broncos a long time ago, Dave Veers, who was a pitcher for the Colorado Rockies and the St. Louis Cardinals, and Chad Brown, who was an exceptional linebacker for the Seattle Seahawks. I really cut my teeth before that with a lot of middle school and high school based athletes. And about that time, I found my first mentor. His name was Jim Warren, and he was working with a lot of high performers back in the day. That's really what started my mindset of this direction of the industry. From here, I got pretty busy, started doing combine preparation. There was one year I had 30 combine guys that were training in 900 square feet for their resistance. It was absolutely amazing. Bar none, it was my best results across the board of all my guys. Bar none. I believe this, when you coach in a shoebox, you really become a good coach. So from the 900 square foot facility, we then expanded to a 3,600 square foot facility, which it was just a matter of time. We were there 2.5 years and we were busting at the seams. And now we're in the 9,100 square foot facility that you see today. I have interns come in, or new coaches, they see all these jerseys on the wall and they want to be there, they want to do that. There's 2 things I always tell them. This is the top of the iceberg that you're seeing. You didn't see all the failures and all the different things that I went through. The second thing is, are you sure you want to work with these people? Because there's a big burden, there's a lot of stress when you work with high performers. This is how they make their living. This is how they feed their families. There's a big, big burden if it's coming from here when you're coaching them. I want all of our athletes to be aware that there's other athletes in this facility that have big things coming up. So if you look on this chalkboard wall, we typically do a couple months out, and it's an accountability tool for not only the coaches, but the athletes walking in. And I think it also gains a little bit of credibility for some of our up-and-coming athletes, some of our younger athletes, to look at this board and go, wow, here's who I'm sweating on this space with. I'm sweating with these people who have big-time events. This area right here is a little bit different. I have the dry erase board right here to draw and diagram. We also have the dry erase chalkboard, and then we have it set up here for PowerPoint when I teach my Train to Win lectures and courses. When we do bring in position-specific coaches, offensive linemen, defensive linemen, again, they can use the chalkboard, they can use the dry erase to educate the kids. Again, we're big at the general physical preparation, and we bring in specialists to work on the specific details of really how that position is played. We do have a piece in here called the Run Rocket. I've always found it difficult to transition what we would know as a wall drill to resisted marches, resisted runs, to then transition that into the real deal of what the skill is of acceleration. What I found with the Run Rocket, this is a great tool because it maintains consistent resistance for me for the distance that I'm looking to run. I hope you enjoyed the facility. Again, this is our home, and I'm glad that you got to have a sneak peek into what we do and where we do it at.
Right now, this is where I think your experience starts. You walk in, you get the feel, you get the vibe, you head up into what I think the CIA would call a black site. Are we not allowed to say that? Well, we just did. Come back, I'll get you warming up on this. I will get a couple sets on this. We can head back. I got a bike and some rope. It's not the gym. Right, but you're like a celebrity trainer. That is the corniest title. You're a celebrity trainer? Really? If I lived in Pennsylvania, I'd be the Amish trainer. If I lived in Oregon, I'd be the logger trainer. If I lived in downtown New York, I'd be the financial guy trainer. It's just corny. You're not a celebrity trainer. You're a trainer, and you're working with people who, some are celebrities, some are not. Some are in their own minds, but they're not in your mind, and you're just trying to get people to do what they do better. Everything we do in here should service everything outside of here for every single person.